Welcome, thank you, and let's enjoy our time together. Let's set a few house rules first. Now, the biggest killer in any meeting or human interaction is being distracted. So I'm hoping that you're going to be open, curious, and receptive. I hope you're in a settled and quiet in your mind. The killer to any human interaction is distraction. And that's distraction from external noises and things taking away your attention. But most of all is the distraction that's going on inside your own head. Mindfulness is an overused and misused word, but it does accurately describe the condition of being present in a meeting. And I'm hoping that you'll be present in our time together here. So just for a moment, just listen to your own breathing. Breathe deeply in and out, and listen to your own breathing, and just think what else is going on in your head, and try to just accept they're going on, but put them to the background and work with me. And this is the biggest habit I can share with you throughout this, is that through any human interaction, just be present, be mindful, be receptive and curious, and it will have far more value to you. So I promise I'm not going to bang on too much about mindfulness, and this course is not about mindfulness, but I want to share an experience with you that made me take up coaching and mentoring as a profession, and that convinced me to become a coach. So I decided to go and visit my son, who was living and working in Taiwan. We had 5 days together of adventure. The first day was cycling all around Taiwan and staying up all night in a bar. The second day was abseiling down into a gorge and staying in a dreadful hotel, and then having eggs soaked in tea for breakfast. I was pretty exhausted and pretty jet lagged, and we were going up a river tracing up to a hot pool. And we sat in this muddy hot pool, and I kind of immediately wanted to think about what I was doing next. I was hungry, and I wasn't really listening to my son. So I said, well, what are we going to do next? And he said, well, why don't we just chill here for a while and enjoy each other's company? And I suddenly realized that I didn't want to be anywhere else. I didn't need to be with anybody else. I was where I wanted to be, and actually it was a lovely place. We directed the cold water into these hot water pools to get the temperature just right. We started to talk, and suddenly I became much more relaxed. I stopped being hungry. My son became far more interesting, and I had, I believe, much more interesting things to say. And I kid you not, the surroundings that I was in became more vibrant. I started noticing the birds singing. I noticed how green the foliage was. We were in a tropical paradise. And by the end of our time together, which was possibly another hour and a half, I was positively euphoric. Now that, for me, indicates why it is so much more helpful for you to be mindful, present, open, curious, and ready for the situation that you're in, not worrying about what's happening next, or whether you're still hungry from breakfast, or what else is going on. So I hope it's worth worth taking on board. Now, this leads me straight on to two ways in which you can make your interactions richer and more positive, and might help you to be more open and curious in any situation. A very long time ago, I read a rather curious book called The Celestine Prophecy, which was a bit strange, but it had two habits in there that I've adopted on and off for the rest of my life. The first was that everybody has a message for you. And if you treat every interaction with another human being as a time when everybody has a message for you and your job is just to find out what that message is, then that interaction is likely to become a lot more interesting. You will be probing that person for what their purpose is, what they're interested in, what their hobbies are, where they're going in life, what they stand for, what their values are. They will find you far more interesting because they probably don't have many people being that interested in them. And you will find that suddenly that person that you thought was really dull, you're at a dull meeting and you're sat down next to somebody that you really didn't want to be there. But if you just think to yourself, what message have they got for me? That changes your whole persona and your interaction with them. The second one is to treat energy as a separate thing in your interaction. So if you imagine there's a ball of energy between you and me now. Now, am I draining the energy from you, or am I giving you energy? There's a great example, again, in this book of someone who drains energy, who they describe as a poor me. So I will say to you, so how are you? But I'm not really interested in how you are. I'm interested in telling you what a miserable day I've had. Oh, God, I got up this morning, I felt so tired, I hadn't slept a wink. You can almost feel the energy draining out of you. Well, again, if your job is to use that energy that's sitting between you and give that person energy, then again, if you're asking them questions and trying to lift them and trying to think of that energy as something that you give rather than take, it again is going to help that every interaction. You're giving them a gift rather than taking something away from them. So I hope you can just take those two things about your meetings, the way that you're open and curious in them, and two tips on just making those meetings rather more enjoyable.